In this demonstration, we'll be working on the Word Practice 2 exercise. You will need to download the starter file for Word Practice 2 to begin this. I have it on Canvas as well as on my website. I'm currently on our Canvas homepage, so I'm just going to show you how you can derive it from here. If you go over to Modules, and it's in week 4, so I'm going to scroll down to week 4, and right here we have the starter Word Practice 2.docx, and that's the file you will use to begin this exercise. Now it will pop open like this. If I click this link, then it will ask me to download, and I'm just going to say download it to your OneDrive. I'm just waiting for mine to appear. Here it is right here. OneDrive, and go to your program folder and then go to your course folder. If you don't already have a folder created, create a new folder called Word Practice 2. You can just right click and go new folder to create this new folder. I already have one here, so I'm just going to double click it now to get inside. You notice I do have one file there already. That's because I have a finished version of today's exercise, and this happens to be it. So I will use that as a reference. But just to finish saving my file here, I'm going to save it now inside of this project folder, if you will. If I hide the browser, let me actually hide it. I don't really need it anymore at this point. And if I go down to my File Explorer, I just want to prove where it is so that you'll always be able to find your file. If I go back to OneDrive, over to my program folder, then back to my course folder, and then to my specific assignment folder, which is Word Practice 2 for today. If I double click there, this is the starter file. So having gotten to this point, I can actually double click that file to launch Microsoft Word. There's a few ways of doing it, of course. I can't see it down on my bar here. You may or may not see one down there. And of course, you can always go to the Start menu and scroll down to Microsoft Word, which is under the W's right here, to launch it. I'm just going to click away from here, and I'm going to initiate this by double-clicking this starter file. Okay. And you should get something that looks like this. Now, to start with, I'm just going to get you to put on your show and hide paragraphs. And I think we will also save this at this point. So we've initiated the file, or we've launched the file, but let's do a save as to make it our own. So we would go to File. I can go save a copy here. I'm going to go to my OneDrive. And if I come down here, let's see here, I can go back up here and go into Computer Essentials, Word Practice 2. That's where I'm going to save it. And you should call it, replace the word starter with your last name, underscore first name, underscore Word underscore Practice 2. And save that there. Click the Save button. Now, I already have one here, so I'm going to actually just append the name with the B at the end. And that's simply because I already have one, and I don't wish to overwrite it. In other words, replace it. Because when you have a file with the same name, it will replace itself in that case. So let's just click Save here. Okay, so I can see up here is my file name. Once again, if I want to just double check where it is, I'm going to go to my File Explorer, and there is the new file that I just created. So let me just click back into that Word file now. And so we really now we can start to begin to manipulate this existing file. So quickly before we get started, I thought it'd be a good idea just to show you the finished product so you know what we're aiming for. I do happen to have one open here right now, so let me just toggle over to that. And I'll just start at the top and work our way to the bottom. So we're going to format, the headline and the subheadline. We're going to add a graphic in here and also edit these text word elements and control the color and the size and the type of graphic that it is and so on. You can see down here we're going to do first line indents in our paragraphs. We're also going to do custom bullet points. As you can see here, these ones have check marks down here, and again here's another indented paragraph. Of course, we're going to create a basic footer that will appear on every page. Different kinds of bullets down here, and we're going to also work with the tabs. The tabs, when you hit your tab, that it will go over to a sort of a common area on the right side, and we're going to use a left tab for this. And then finally, something pretty cool, we're going to actually add a video into our page. We're going to embed a video right into our page, and in this case it's just the training video for this particular assignment. So that's what we have here. We're going to start, again we are starting with a starter file, so you don't really have to type very much. There'll be a little bit of typing and that's it. Okay, so that's a look at the finished version, and I'm just going to collapse that for now. Okay, so we're back to our starter file here. Okay, now that we've got our file saved, let's just create some basic layout, and then we'll actually generate a footer and put some simple information into the footer as well to start with. So with the layout, we go over to the Layout tab, and I just want to customize margins. Margins is the space around the edge of the document, basically, and it allows for more or less room towards the edge of the page and the content. So if I click on the little arrow down here, we have a lot of presets, but let's go down to custom margins, and that's going to pop up this dialog box here, and all I'm going to get you to do is customize the left and right margins. So let's just replace these measurements with 1 inch. I can put a 1 in there, hit my tab key, go over to the right box and also put 1 inch there, hit my tab key and click OK. And you should see a subtle change in the spacing. So we have a little bit more room over here and a little bit more room over here. So every time I make a change, I'm going to encourage you to save the file, which is this little save button right here. I do have autosave on, and I'll leave that option up to you. It is handy. It basically saves, I don't know, I bet every 30 seconds or so. So now I've got my margin set up. Let's initiate the footer. We're going to go over to the Insert tab. And on the far right here, we have header, footer, page number. Under footer, there's a tiny little arrow. Let's click down on that. And we're just going to choose Edit Footer. Okay, and that pops at the bottom here. And now I'm free to type or put content in there and so on. I'm just going to put in some document info text in there, if you will. If you look over under the Insert section over here, we do have document info. Let's just click on the little arrow that pulls down and simply use the file name for this information. File name. There we go, simple as that. So now we have a footer. Again, a footer is kind of like a signature at the bottom of the page of your document. Now to get out of the footer, there's a couple of ways we can do that. You can simply click the red arrow here, or you can double click in a sort of an empty space above the footer. I'm going to try that method today. Double click. And now the footer is kind of tucked away, and we're back editing the regular document. The footer and the regular document are edited separately, as you witnessed there. If I did want to get back into the footer, I could double click on it, and that's a shortcut to get back into it. Okay, and then this time I will use the red X to close it. Okay, so that's the footer. I'm just going to scroll back to the top using my scroll wheel. You can also use the scroll bar over here if you like, but the scroll wheel is quite handy on the mouse. And we're going to format the title and the subtitle at this point. So you should be under your Home tab at this point. Just select the top paragraph, PVCC, Fine Arts Division, and with the shortcut menu that pops up here, let's just set that to 36. Okay, 36, nice and big. Now we're going to do a similar thing to the submenu, or the subtitle rather. Let's just click and select all of that. And again with the shortcut menu, this one we will make, let's see, maybe 24. 24. Okay. All right, so now they've been resized, but I also want to center those two elements, so I'm going to click on and drag to highlight both. And over under paragraph, I'm simply going to click center align. There we go. I definitely should be saving at this point. Now at this point, we're going to create a little bit of space in our document, and we're going to use the line and paragraph settings. So I'm just going to select all of my text here in my document. I can click at the top and drag downwards until I go across all of it, or I could have started at the bottom and dragged upwards. I'm just scrolling back up to the top of my document. Another method to select all of your content is Control A on the keyboard, A for all. Okay, but all of my content is selected at this point, and I'm going to go up. I'm under my Home tab still here, in paragraph, line and paragraph spacing, and I'll click the down arrow there, and I'm going to reset it to 1.5. 1.5, and I'm just going to save that right now. Okay, and then I think the next thing I'll do is work on indentation for my main paragraphs. So I'm going to click in front of this paragraph down here. Make sure my insert cursor is in front of this paragraph that starts with our trainee programs. Okay, so with my cursor there, I'm going to go up to my paragraph settings, which is this tiny little arrow here under paragraph. These are your settings boxes, these little arrows here, and this one has to do with paragraphs. So I'm going to click on that. And what I want to do is I want to do a first line indent, which means my first line of my paragraph will be indented, pushed over to the right, if you will. And we'll do that down at an indentation. And we have a section called special. I'm going to click down on there. And we have one called first line. By default, it goes to 1/2 inch. That's actually what we do want, 0.5 of an inch. So I'm going to leave that at 0.5 of an inch. Just make sure under indentation, go to special, first line by 0.5 inches. Once that's set, click OK. Okay, and you see how that moved over. Something to point out here too is here is the little first line indent tab, as you can see here. And it indicates where my indent is when my cursor is on that paragraph. So I'm definitely going to save at this point and move on to the next paragraph that I wish to indent. Now I'm going to address a second paragraph here, the one that starts with as a trainee. So I'm just going to put my cursor in front of that one. Just show you a different method to create that indent as well here. You did notice the markers in the ruler, so I can actually drag one of these markers in the ruler here. And I'll just drag this first line indent over to the 1/2 inch point. And you see how that moved over? And you could see it live, if you will, when you were dragging it. So just a different method. Okay. Now I'm going to do one more here, with the one that starts with here is a partial list. So I'm going to click in front of that one. And I can use either method, so I guess I will use that same method here, dragging that along the marker on the ruler. Now, I forgot to mention, if you don't see your rulers, it's under the View tab. Rulers right here. Okay, let me go back to my Home tab here. And I've got my indents done now for my first 3 paragraphs that I have set up. So I'm just going to save that. Now I'm going to create some spacing that comes after the paragraph. So I'm going to select all of my text again. I'm going to click in front of the top here. I'm going to go Control A on my keyboard to select all. Control A for all to select all my text. Then I'm going to call up my paragraph settings, which is this little arrow right here. And we're going to say spacing. And I want it to be after. I can click the arrows. And I want 6 points. You can also type it in manually if you like. So with all your text selected, call up your paragraph settings box. Change the spacing for after to set to 6 points. That's going to give it a little more space after the paragraphs. And I click OK. And I can sort of see it manifesting right here. All right, definitely want to save that again. And I'm going to click away, or in it just in here to deselect everything. And what I want to do right now is I want to select this headline called Requirements and Upcoming Trainee Programs. And I don't want to select the stuff in between. So we can use the Control key when we select. I'm going to start by selecting Requirements. And then I will hold my Control key down and select the next bit. Otherwise, if I don't hold my Control key down, it will just select the next thing. This is how you can select separate things in different locations in a customized way, if you will, by holding down your Control key when you're making the multiple selections. So now I've got this little bold headline, Requirements and Upcoming Trainee Programs. I'm going to set the before paragraph settings for those. So I'm going to go back up to my paragraph settings. And you saw there was also a before box. I'm going to click that to 12. Now it does go in increments of 6, as you notice here, so 12 is just 2 clicks away. Again, you can manually type it in if you like. I'm going to click OK once I've entered that into there. There we go, and I definitely want to save that again. Okay, so now we've done a little bit of spacing for before and after our paragraphs. Now we'll add bullets to what appeared to be some lists here, such as the educational, promotional, informational chunk, as well as the production assistant, etc. here, and these dates down below. So let's just start by selecting these 3 paragraphs. And again, under the Home tab, you have your bullets here. I could probably click on it. It'll give me the default, but if you want to see your choices, you click on the little arrow. And we're just going to choose the first one, which is these dark bullets. Okay, and you can see how they manifest there. We'll do the same for this set down here. Select those, apply the first set of bullets, as well as scrolling down here. And I'm going to grab these 4 dates here as a list, and again, apply the first bullet. And definitely want to save that. Now we're going to create some new text here as well. And it'll come in after the Our Requirements paragraph. So just insert your cursor at the end of that paragraph. You can see applicants must with the colon there. Hit your Enter key to start a new paragraph directly below that. And we're going to just type in the following. So just follow me here. Be enrolled. My typing is not so good, so I may be making corrections. Be enrolled in an accredited space video program. Okay, and I'll hit my return key to start a new line here. Be available during the entire production process. Be available during the entire production process. Okay, and just checking my spelling here. Yeah, definitely. When you see the red highlights, that's a good hint that something is spelled incorrectly. Be available during the entire production process. Okay, put my cursor at the end of there, hit my Enter key to start yet another new line. Submit 3 faculty letters of recommendation. Submit 3 faculty letters of recommendation. Let me just check my spelling on that again. Looks good there, I believe. And we're going to select those now and apply bullet to those. Now, I do want to change some of these bullets, the ones that have to do with the dates down here. So I'm going to select these. So I'm going to edit these, in fact, by selecting them all and going up to my bullet list. And I'm going to replace them with the check mark that you see right here. Okay, and you see they all now have a check mark. Now, there's this cool feature here called a format painter. It's a little paintbrush here. And if I click it while I have this selected, it will actually kind of copy the formatting, and when I select something brand new, it's like it's pasting the format. So in other words, the formatting is the bullets here with the check marks. So by selecting those, I'm kind of saying, okay, adopt that format with the painter. So I'm going to click here. And then if I go, and you can see the cursor, when I go over text, it has a little paintbrush, right? So I'm going to just come up here and select this group, and when I let go, you see how it automatically formatted with those check boxes, because basically it's copying the previous one. Now another cool feature is, again with that selected, to establish the format, if I double click this, it stays on and I can just continue to paint with it. See there, like that. Alright, so that is the format painter. If you want to have a speedier process, it's basically for efficiency. If you already have an established format and you want to recreate that somewhere else, potentially could save you some time. Okay, so again, I'm just going to save this file here. At this point, let's address the tabs. If I scroll down here a bit, where we have the dates, that space in between is actually created by hitting the tab, and we can control that space. So I'm going to select that in order to affect it. So I'm selecting all 4 paragraph lines that happen to have the tab in here. Actually, this one doesn't have it. This one actually has a space, I noticed. But we're going to affect all 4 of these lines. Now, to work with the tab, first of all, ensure that you're set to tab left. And the tab icon is this little icon in the upper left corner. Notice when I roll over it, it indicates which setting it's on. If you click it, you will change the settings. I'll demonstrate here. If I click on it, that's a center tab. And if I click through, there's about 6, I believe. So I'm clicking through till I get back to the left one. It looks like a letter L. So I click on there, ensure it's left tab. That's number 1. Number 2, to establish this tab, We do it inside of the ruler. So again, make sure your rulers are on. And you just click inside of the ruler. So I'm going to click on the 4-inch mark right here, which will establish, see that little L icon there? That's my tab. And you probably would have noticed too that the tabs in the highlighted area have shifted over to be in alignment with that. Now I'm going to move it so I can click it, select it, and drag it. I'm going to actually put it at the 4.5. So that's how you can also adjust it. You can simply grab it in the ruler, move it left or right. Okay, so it even has a bit more space now. Now I want to make some more adjustments, but I want to do them in the tabs dialog box. So to do that, I need to call it up, and we call it up by double clicking on the little icon in the ruler. So I just double click there, and there's my tabs dialog box. What I want to do is I want to change this a bit. So I'm going to start by selecting it in the list. That's the actual one, and I can have several of these, but we're only going to end up with one here. I'm going to click 3.5 on here to change the name, and I'm going to make sure that the alignment is on left. It happens to be by default. Then I'm going to go down to the leader section and choose 3. Okay, and I click set. All right, so now we have 2 different ones here. And I want to get rid of the 4.5 one. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to hit clear. So you should only be left with the 3.5 one. Once we are at this spot, let's just click OK. All right, and you notice that it readjusted itself. It's at the 3.5 mark. But that dialog box, I'll do it again, or I'll just show you, double click it to call it up, and you can make changes, and you can actually add tab stop positions in here. Okay, I'm just going to click cancel to close that. Now let's just add an extra line inside of this list here. So I'm just going to click at the end of the filming line that ends in Studio A and hit my enter key, which starts a new bulleted point, as you can see there once you're inside of the bullets. And we're just going to add the text set creation. And then we're going to hit our tab key. Tab, October 11th, comma, 7 p.m., comma, cafeteria. And make sure I spelt that right. Yes, I did. And I'll just save that. So there's an example of what the tab will do. Again, they all align accordingly. And when you are in a bulleted list, as you noticed, when you go in and hit your return key, it does add to the list. If you hit your return key twice, it would actually get you out of the list. Okay, now we're going to add a graphic to the top of the page here. So I'm just going to scroll up here and click after training program and create some space by hitting my enter key. And I'm going to insert a graphic at this point. So I'm going to go to my insert tab, and we're going to go over to SmartArt, and over here I'm going to go to the process list, and I'm going to choose circle process. Okay, and then click OK. At this point I'm going to insert some text in here. I can either do it in the dialog box or directly on screen. And the first box will say apply, and then in the second box, again, I can click here and it'll say interview, and you notice how it adjusts accordingly to make sure everything fits. And let's try the third one on screen here. If I can just go in here, and this one will say learn. Okay, I'm good with that now. So either way, directly on screen or inside of this helper box, I can close that if I want. Now I want to select the whole group at this point, so I want to make sure I select this outer frame, if you will. I'm going to change the size, so I'm going to go up to Format, under Size, and I'm going to change the height to 2 inches. Hit my Tab key to 6.5. 6.5, hit my Tab key. There we go. Now I'm going to go back and change some of the artworks. I'm going to go back to SmartArt Design. Under Change Colors, And I'm going to go into colorful, and I'll just use this first one called accent colors. There we go. And as well as that, I think I'm going to move down in my styles here, and I believe maybe this one. Let's see, polished, no. Inset, there's more below here, and here's the one I was actually looking for. It's called cartoon. So you may have to scroll through this list depending how big your monitor is. And I'm going to click on that. All right, so we've got this stylized cartoon looking graphic. We've input our text and so on inside of the 3 circles. And at this point, I'm going to save my document. Now that we've inserted a graphic, let's go to the very bottom of the page. I'm just scrolling down here. I'm going to insert my cursor at the bottom here. And we can actually insert video, believe it or not. If you're going to remain digital with the file, you can actually insert video. But what you do need for this is you do need a link to an online video. And in this case, I'm going to use YouTube. So I'll show you how that can work once we insert our video here. Okay, so let's go over to Insert. And if we look over here, we have under Media, we have Online Video. So I'm going to click on that. And this is where I actually need to put in a URL or embed code from a video. So let me kick out to a browser here. I'm just going to go to Firefox because I already have it open. And if I go to my web page, I have all of my videos. I'm going to click on the video for today's lesson, Microsoft Word Practice 2, which takes me to YouTube. And you can copy links from YouTube videos by clicking on the share button directly below the video. If I click share, there's a little button called copy. Just copy that, click it to copy. I can close that now, and then I'm going to go back to Word, so I can go over and click on my Word icon in the toolbar there. And inside of this box, I'm going to paste. So let's just go Control V to paste, Control V to paste. There we go, and click Insert. And lo and behold, there we have a video on our Word page, believe it or not. So now that we have that, make sure that it is still selected, and we're just going to modify the size. So it stays proportional, so I'm just going to make the width 2 inches, and whatever the height ends up being, that's what it will be. 2, hit my tab key, and it's 1.5 times 2. So let's just also center this. So I can go to my home button here and just click center. There we go. And definitely save that. So that does complete the exercise. If I wanted to play this, I suppose I could hit play here, and it will play on screen. As you can see here, it's trying to load up. And there is the video. Okay. I click away, and it kind of disappears. But there is our file. Let me turn off the paragraphs here. And I'll just click away so that nothing is selected. And this is what we are creating for our practice number 2 exercise. Once you have completed this, hand in this Microsoft Word file to Canvas under the appropriate assignment for practice 2. And that is your assignment for today.